everybody, it's Jenny from the Missouri Star Quilt Company, and I've got a really fun project for you today. Take a look at this quilt behind me. Isn't this beautiful? The line of fabric is gorgeous. Look at this border print. It's so pretty. So to make this quilt, you're going to need one packet of 10-inch squares, and we have used Dreaming of Tuscany by Michael Miller Fabrics. You're going to need some 5-inch squares, so you're going to need 2 packs of 5-inch squares or 1.5 yards of fabric. For this first border, it's a 1/2 yard of fabric. So if you want to tie all your background yardage in and get yardage, that's 2 yards for that. Your outer border out here is a nice big 6-inch border, and you're going to need 1.25 yards for that. Now let's look at this backing. You're going to need 5 yards of backing, and we've used the cute little purple floral print. Just darling. Now, I know this is going to surprise you when I tell you how to make this, but this is a disappearing 9 patch. So one of the things I've been playing with, and I often talk about when I do a trunk show or something, I show the disappearing 9 patch, and I talk about how the fabric in the corners never changes. So what happens if we put a block in there? And so we thought, what would happen if we put a little pinwheel block in 2 of the corners of our disappearing 9 patch. So recently V&Co posted on her site 3 different ways to lay out a disappearing 9 patch that had pinwheels in it. So I called her and talked to her about it, and so we are using one of her layouts in this, and we will show you how to do that. So the first thing we're going to want to do is make some pinwheels. Now you're going to take your large 10-inch square like this, and we're going to cut it twice so that we have 4 5-inch squares. So realistically, you could use charms for this, but it makes a much bigger quilt if we use our 10-inch squares. So we're going to cut this both directions like this, and I'm using my ruler that is 5 inches wide, so I just can lay it right along the edge and then just cut, and you'll have 4 5-inch squares like that. So to make our pinwheels, we're going to make 2 for each block, and there are 20 blocks on here, and so you're going to need 40 pinwheels. And so what we're going to do is we are going to take a white square, 5 inches, and put it on our colored square, 5 inches, and we are going to sew all the way around it 1/4 inch. Now we're just going to line this up here, and we are going to sew down and across. And you can sew off or pivot. I sew off. And then one more. Now to make our pinwheels, we're going to need 4 half square triangles. So this is a quick way to do half square triangles. We're going to lay our ruler. Once our square is sewn all the way around, we're going to lay our ruler diagonally, corner to corner, side to side like this. And we're going to make a cut, and then we're going to take our ruler and lay it corner to corner and make another cut. All right, now what we're going to do is we're going to press these open, and I turn them dark side up, so that I can keep my seam to the dark side. What I'm going to do here is open these up and just roll them back like this. And just roll it back. Takes me a minute. And then open this up. All right, so now because we want our square to stay 5 inches. We want our pinwheel block to remain 5 inches because all of our other squares are 5 inches, and we don't want to have to cut all those down. What we're going to do is we're going to square these up to 2 3/4. And so we're going to lay our ruler on here like this. And I like to always start from a measurement that is easy to see on the ruler. So I'm at 2.5 right here. I'm going to slide this up to 2 3/4 on both sides. And we are just going to trim this on 2 sides now. So we will have 4 of these that are trimmed to 2 3/4. That one. And I just have my diagonal line up here. I pull it into where it's easy for me to see on the half. I'm going to scoot it into the 3/4. And then I'm just going to cut on this side and this side. And out of one 5-inch square, we get 4 of these that are 2 3/4 apiece. All right, now we're going to sew them together, and you want to make sure that all your pinwheels are rotating in the same direction. So basically, I do all my pinwheels first, and I'm going to lay them down so they're all going in the same direction. So once I make one like this, I'm gonna leave it here like as a little model, and I'm gonna put these together so that they're all going the same direction, and we're gonna sew this together like this. And we're just gonna sew 1/4 inch. Because this is, we want this to match exactly the other squares, and we've already squared them up. They should fit together perfectly. So you're just gonna have to be kind of careful as you're sewing them to make sure your 1/4 inch is pretty accurate. All right, I've got these 2 blocks. If I open them, let's see, they should fit together perfectly. And we're gonna lay this on top of here. I'm gonna take a few stitches, and then I'm going to make sure that one seam, my middle seams are gonna go opposite direction. So one's gonna go, the bottom one will go toward the needle, the top one will go away from the needle, and I'm just gonna sew 1/4 inch right along here. And then we're gonna press this open. Now, if you want to, you can trim off these little dog ears up here. We're not gonna need those, so you can just trim those off. And then we'll press it open. And we get this great little pinwheel. And if your pinwheels feel like they're like high in the center or something, you can always press this seam open. It's not gonna matter. I'm just gonna press mine to the side and give it a nice shot of steam. And it lays nice and flat. Now let's measure it and make sure we're right. We should be pretty close. We are 5 by 5. We're perfect. So now let me show you how to put this block together, because this is a disappearing 9 patch, and I know you probably can't see it yet, but it is. So we're gonna put a 9 patch up here, and in one corner we're gonna have the white, and in the other corner we're gonna have the pinwheels. And then we're gonna come down here, and we're gonna have our colored squares are gonna come all the way across the middle like this. And then down here, in one corner again, we're gonna have our white, and in the other corner, we're gonna have our pinwheel, and it's gonna go just like this. So this makes a big 9 patch, just like this. We're gonna sew 3 rows of 3 together, and it's gonna make a block that looks just like this. So let me show you this one right here. And so once you get your rows together, this is what the block will look like right here. And so we've got our pinwheels in these corners, our white blocks in these corners, and all 3 of them sewn together makes a 9 patch. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna cut this right in half. Now I know that these blocks are 5 inches, so half of that is 2.5, but I've got 1/4 inch in this seam. So I'm measuring 2 1/4 from the seam line, and I'm gonna line this up all the way down, and I'm just gonna make one big cut. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn these, and I'm gonna cut them the other direction. Now, if they come apart on you, like mine just did, you can line them right back up, or you can just take each piece. It's still 1/4 inch. If these pieces are apart, it's still 2 1/4 from that seam line. So let me make sure this is lined up all the way down here. And we're gonna cut again. And then you have these 4 pieces right here. All right, so now how we're gonna put this together is we are going to take these 2 pieces, and we're gonna turn our little middle square to the outside like this. And these 2 small squares are gonna stay in, just like that. So once you get your block back together like this, again, you're gonna sew the seam. So you'll sew 1/4 inch here, and 1/4 inch here, and you'll sew this together like a big 4 patch, and you're gonna get a block that looks like this. Now this is your disappearing pinwheel block with the pinwheels in the corners and the disappearing blocks on the other side. So then you're going to make 20 of these, and we're just going to set these together. But isn't it so cool how simple this is, and yet how it looks when they come together? Because they come together like this, and it forms these secondary patterns that are so cool. Like this block I think is so cool. Then 4 of your pinwheels are going to come together in this block, and really this is how it is right here. So this is your block. So you can see how this fits in here. Now to make the whole layout like this, you can see right here, this has our pinwheels this way, and the next one has our pinwheels this way. So basically, you're taking your block and then you're turning it. and then you're turning it back and you're turning it. And you do that on each row, and so they lay together opposite. So you'd start the opposite way. These pinwheels run this way. On this row, they're going to run this way. So it goes together super quick and easy, but it just looks like you worked so dang hard and cut all those tiny pieces. So from this cute little block, you get this quilt. We've got 4 across the top and 5 down, so 20 blocks total. It makes a great size quilt. It's 67 by 80, and we hope you enjoyed this tutorial on the framed pinwheel quilt from the Missouri Star Quilt Company.